all you're doing is praying to God that your car doesn't break down or stop, because you probably won't be found because you'll go missing because you're in an area like that. Or don't go past this monument because they're rallying again.
Welcome to the Forum. My name is Tina Turner and I'm your host. This is a show where college students come on to discuss issues that are important to them. Tonight we are discussing Confederate monuments.
So I believe that Confederate monuments, to keep them up, would be unconstitutional.
I'm on the fence. I do believe that if they cause serious hurt to other people, then maybe that we should consider taking them down, but at the same time, we should be careful about how we go about rewriting history.
I think Confederate statues, the decision to take them down is 100% racially and morally biased, and they're keeping us from moving forward. No, they're not the only thing keeping us from moving forward, but they are.
I believe that history repeats itself, and taking down the monuments could open a door to forgetting.
I think that monuments are history, and we should be teaching history, not removing it.
I believe that these monuments are history as well, but I also believe that this history teaches lessons that are important to the youth, and I think that without this lesson, we would just be repeating the same problems over and over again.
So I'm going to start with you, because you went ahead and said this is unconstitutional.
Yep.
Why do you believe that?
I believe it's unconstitutional to keep them up because it impedes upon the liberty and the pursuit of happiness of African Americans. And as an African American, I can take away from a person being made as like this monument as like, okay, well, they fought for this side of the Civil War and they're being rewarded. They're being commemorated. They've been remembered for their valor and their honor, yet what they stand for is so clearly against my existence. So that's how I feel about that, and that's why.
Okay. So when someone who kind of disagrees with that, saying it's unconstitutional, what do you see the benefit of keeping these monuments up?
I think that the benefit is we should absolutely teach people that these men now are, the things that they've done are terrible, the things that they stood for are terrible, but just like she said, as to what she believes, that if we just remove it, then you run the risk of, people forgetting and history repeating itself. Yeah, I don't agree that people should just be like, oh, hey, like, yeah, he is an awesome guy and entirely he never did anything wrong in his life. Like, that's not how those statues should be taken. I don't think most people take them that way. But I think we should just learn from these things, not just take them down, like destroy them.
So before all of this even came into the media, did you guys notice the Confederate monuments around you, or were you around Confederate monuments?
I'm from Connecticut, so
From
So
Gettysburg.
Okay.
From Nashville, Tennessee, and there's a giant Confederate monument of the leader of the KKK on a horse sitting on I-65, like a couple miles from my house, and it's actually a common theme for people to vandalize it. It's currently spray painted pink, and no one has been able to wash it for the longest time because it sits on private land, and the man who owns that land does not want to take it down, but it gets vandalized quite often.
I'm from Texas, so like our statues, we have like kind of same situation where our leaders were slave owners. They were people that made decisions that we probably didn't agree with today, but they're labeled as Texas Revolution heroes and not Confederate statues. So there's a different word for that, but no one kind of messes with it. But at the same time, when you look into history, you realize, oh, like Stephen F. Austin, oh, we kind of had slaves. Oh, like Sam Houston, oh.
Do you think that the government is really speaking for you, or like takes your voice into consideration?
Not really. Like, I feel like, I don't really feel represented by my representatives. I don't feel like my voice is heard.
So when you see these people being upset that these monuments are being taken down, or people are upset about it, does that feeling kind of come into play again? That you feel like the government, who sometimes might be siding with the people who want to keep them up, is just not even listening to what you have to say?
Sure, and like, as the people were talking, Just now, I couldn't help but think like about like the Confederate flag, like where I grew up in Hanover, Pennsylvania. Like the Confederate flag is literally everywhere. Like you go around the Abbottstown Square and like there's Confederate flags on like almost every side. So it's just like it's the Confederate flag. Like the Confederates fought for slavery. Like I'm sure they fought for other things too. I'm not like educated on like all that, but like the fact is like they fought to keep something in place that would make me property, and that doesn't make me feel loved. That doesn't make me feel respected. That doesn't make me feel like I'm being heard by my government. So that's how I feel about that.
So does this mean that they're works of art, these monuments, or are they just?
I mean, at one point they definitely were considered to be. I think now that a lot of people, just because of the controversy behind the issue, I think a lot of people see it just as a message of hate. But yeah, I think art is subjective. It's all to the viewer, and I'm not really sure how it impedes. Like I get that it's like a disturbing thought for these people to still be honored in some way, but I'm just confused as to how it impedes your success.
So let me jump in. Here's the way I look at it. I think at a maximum of taking these monuments down, I think they should be moved to a museum. I think that the Constitution would I think much like anything else, you can interpret the Constitution in different ways, so even legal scholars don't fully agree on what it means, but political speech is one of the most coveted types of speech in our Constitution. And so I would argue that these statues could be looked at as a form of art, could be looked at as political speech. Now, if that political speech is harmful and it offends you, or I'm sure you're not the only one, then should we be using federal money to upkeep those statues and take care of them? I don't know, but I really don't think that they should be destroyed. I think at a minimum they should be moved to a museum with updated placards to give context to the situation.
I
Maybe.
have to agree with that.
To be quite frank, if it wasn't for taxpayers' dollars, I honestly don't even think that white people should be included in the decision. If it wasn't for taxpayers' dollars, I mean, you made the decision to put them up for that reason. So why should you get the decision to take them down if they weren't paying for them? But they are. So.
Charlottesville really changed my mind because up to that point, I was pretty firmly on the side of, well, we can't rewrite history. If we forget about it, then it might happen again. But once Charlottesville happened, for whatever reason, to me it was just like, well, if it causes, like, no one should die over a statue. No one should feel like they're not welcome in their city over a statue. So that's why I say I think it's a local issue. But if this is something that truly does harm people and impede happiness, like you said, then I do think it should be removed from the public corner.
And kind of going off of what you said, like, it does affect us, and I know you guys just can't see how it does, but like when you pass by houses with Confederate statues and all you're doing is praying to God that your car doesn't break down or stop, because you probably won't be found because you'll go missing because you're in an area like that. Or when you get a text message and all your friends and your other black family members get the same text message, don't drive down this street today, don't go past this monument because they're rallying again. That is a problem. That is a thing for us.
So I just want to hear from everybody about maybe a new perspective that they learned today, starting with you, Nick.
So I think that the perspective I learned was from her last statement about how she can't go down the street today because a group of people that are wanting to hate and all that action, their thoughts are that they don't like black people and that she's fearful of that. She has a right to say, yeah, they shouldn't be there. I can't go do regular citizen stuff because they're out here, like, scaring me and scaring my community. Like, there's no reason for this. So I think that I'm actually on her side now with this.
I kind of learned when I first came, like, I was strictly, like, tear them down, destroy them, all of that. But like listening to what you guys are saying, I definitely think they need more of, like, an explanation and like a general place to be. I'm still firmly on they don't need to be spread out and rally points and all this.
So I'm leaving this conversation with like a sense of empowerment, just because like I feel like what I've said has been heard. I feel like my perspective has been heard. So I feel like that's something that I could walk away from this conversation learning, and also with a sense of empowerment, just knowing that like my perspective has been heard.
Like we were discussing, we do all legally have a say in this topic because it's who we elect and because it's many of them are federal are paid by with taxes. But it should be my responsibility for me personally to take in the African American perspective, the one that is actually being affected.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for being on this show and sharing your perspective and enlightening each other with different views that you may have not thought coming into this. So this has been The Forum, and I am Tina Turner, your host.